My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and it's Chocolate Week!
Woo! At Canadian, in the pavilion.
I do like the fact we have to specify which one it is.
It is so much Bakeoff.
So much Bakeoff. And speaking of so much Bakeoff,
there's a man opening things in the background.
That man rustling chocolate in the background.
It's Robert, yes, in honour of Chocolate Week. I have M&M's. Hi, guys.
How are you going?
Not that M&M's are real chocolate, but you know what? It's been a rough week.
I feel you.
It's good to have you on for Chocolate Week. We needed to have you on at some point. We did say to each other the other day, the podcast has been lacking Robert.
Yes. And I wasn't going to be here, but standing up for First Nations people gets me booted out of a conference I was supposed to present at, and here I am. So ta-da.
And look, let's face it, if you're going to be booted out of a conference, it's better that you get booted out your way, which is standing up for First Nations people, as opposed to me, who's usually just asked to leave for other purposes. Anyway.
Just getting up and taking over the mic to do some,
anyway, here's Wonderwall.
A type 5.
Type 5 and a hay bale, or anyway, here's Wonderwall, which is what I lead off with all the time. I'm like, sir, this is a funeral. Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Oasis version or original?
Original. Anyway.
I'm now Wonderwall at my funeral.
I'm not going to be there. We're going off the cliff together.
Okay, all right.
Did you not remember that pact?
Oh, yeah, totally.
All Thermal and Louise, but with far more baking puns. Anyway, so it is Chocolate Week in the pavilion, and I mean, Canada's got the right climate to do chocolate.
It does. It has air and temperatures and
temperatures that are traditionally lower than Australia, which helps.
But it was spring.
So what? Just Robert. So
there were flowers blooming.
There were flowers blooming. The birds were in the trees. The bees were trying to have sex with them, as is my understanding. But
and then they all jumped in Jasmine's box.
They all jumped in Jasmine's box. Anyway,
sorry, Jasmine.
From being in the shed, of course, as a place to produce chocolate, how does it go?
Depends on the day and the time of day, because we were doing it in, I think it's spring as well.
Yep.
When we were baking, and it would be 2 degrees at night with Maggie Beer with a hot water bottle strapped to her between shots, and all of us huddled around an oven for that was only one night, but yeah, it was a bloody cold night. I tell you what, you wouldn't want to be doing chocolate in that, because stuff just sets up rock solid really fast. Or we had a couple of days where it's like, where the hell did the heat come from? Why is everybody melting? Why are we melting? This is hell.
I mean,
I think that's just Australia, and particularly New South Wales in spring is unpredictable.
Yes.
I mean, there was a quite famous shot of him melting in the middle of the shed. It was, that was bandana day.
Just doing your own little elf. Melting. What a world. What a world.
That's me usually, though. Oh, God, there's moonlight. I'm melting. Why? Make it stop.
Reflected sunlight, that is.
Solidarity forever, brother. Forever.
Yep.
Anyway, so
I just like to think on a new moon, the dark of the moon, when there's only the tiny sliver in the sky, all the redheads go out to play.
Oh, it's our one time of the year. It's great.
Nudie baking.
Actually, I used to do ballroom dancing, and I remember looking around one time going, shit, there's a lot of redheads here. It's a nighttime activity. Got it.
Well, as we actively say all the time, the sun has been trying to kill me now for a very long time.
You are the vampire of this operation, my love.
I am indeed the vampire of this operation.
And here's your co-vampire.
My co-vampire with me. Anyway, so
I am very sparkly in sunlight.
You are very sparkly. Sparkle motion is your friend. So
you have the skin of a killer. My favourite line in Twilight, the movie.
Oh, the horror.
Anyway, we need to get into the pavilion because there's nothing like Twilight, the movie. Anyway, we started off with...
Still a better love story than Twilight.
You say that, yet one of the books have a chess piece as
that seems like a
graphic.
long bow. of all of the longbows you could draw, that seems like one of the longest ones. It's up there with, you know what? There are people in Twilight as well, just like there are people inside the pavilion.
Not for long.
stock photo.
The vampires are werewolves. Spoiler alert.
All right, so they started off with Aurora and Carolyn playing chess on an edible chessboard, with Aurora deliberately losing to eat the pieces.
Great ploy.
Which followed by Carolyn eating half the board instead. So the signature they came up with was 24 chocolate sandwich cookies. And you had 2 hours in which to produce these.
Seems simple enough, but that's 48 individual biscuits and a filling, and you've got to cool the bastards down, and you've got to get them all baked.
And filled.
Yeah, because it was good.
Yeah.
Decorated.
Because we actually got that math. I think it was Natalia who did that math, who was like, I'm sitting here going... they're going, 2024, but realistically, you've got to make 48 of the damn things.
Yeah.
And no one can...
You just end up going 2 + 2 is 4. Quick maths. No.
Yeah, well, by the end of it, Liam was doing quick maths. But I like that Liam's big win for the start of this was that he remembered where everything was. It's just, there's a sweetness and just a delight to Liam. And
I am so devastated.
yeah, you are very devastated.
Our woodland fawn is going back to his natural habitat.
He'll be much happier there.
Yeah, they just opened up a wardrobe at the back of the shed and Mr. Summers went back to Narnia. That's what happened. Just through the pavilion, waves at the White Witch on his way through.
Now, can I point out that Bruno noted in his bit to camera that Chocolate Week always scares the bakers, and he seemed a bit miffed by this, but the very next sentence out of his mouth was, "It took me years of practice to get good at chocolate." And I'm like, so what you're saying, Bruno, is I don't know why they're worried. And in the same breath going, it took me forever. Like, on one hand, he set them up with should be easy. And on the other hand, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but we got badass Bruno. He had his motorcycle jacket on.
I like when Bruno gets a bit badass. It was awesome. Although, to be fair, badass Bruno did also give a thumbs up at one point. So he's Fonzie.
Hey. No. Canadian Fonzie. Hey.
Badass Bruno goes and spends some time in Evil Maggie's Den of Doom.
I love Bruno. He is the absolute best. Absolute, just lovely human being.
E.
What's the French equivalent of A?
Hey,
but with a French accent.
So, well, I've got a bone to pick with. I'll get it out of the way now because we get to it with the technical. But I love when Bruno sets a challenge because they're always amazing. But as the person who has to type the notes for the show, and as the person who speaks English and only English, and is not really au fait with French.
Unless it's
Please tell me that instead of Dacquoise you wrote Duckwiz.
No, I didn't write Duckwiz. I'm a seasoned veteran at this to know how to not write Duckwiz. That I can do. However,
to repronounce it after you've written it down, though, completely different.
When we got to Dacquoise, that's easy. But,
go on, spell Chablais.
So this is where we started getting to
Shablay.
Sure, we'll go with that.
This is where we get to the challenges later on, though. I literally wrote down, why must Bruno make my life hard when taking notes by making every fucking thing French? Because, obviously, and I understand, yes, there is no Canada like French Canada. It's the best Canada in the land. But I also, it's so difficult to get everything right.
But here you are. You guys are like squares, man. You're like
queen of accenting. Sorry.
No, you're stuck in like institutionalized spelling. There's different ways. Like you can write things out the way they sound.
You've seen me writing my notes. You've seen me writing my notes. There's no such thing as institutionalized spelling here.
But also, French is literally the most rigid language there is. They don't take kindly to people who fuck with French.
There's no French people around here.
No, and in fact, what I have done in the notes,
except Pierre,
just for people at home, I have in fact, once I've written it correctly, I have then for the rest of time written it phonetically.
Excusez-moi. Did I hear you talking French here? It's me, your flatmate Pierre. I live on the stairs.
I forgot
Remember
about Pierre.
me?
I forgot we have Pierre.
I am very disappointed in the way you have just written this word.
Pierre,
Oui?
not until the read for the ad.
Oh, okay. I'll be back.
Right, I told you later on. Not until the read
Okay,
for the
au
ad.
revoir.
Okay, so let's get to the first actual thing made. So Natalia used one of my favorite flavors.
Mm.
I love dulce de leche.
Yes, you do.
this.
You're
I'm
a bandit
for good dulce de leche. And they were chocolate walnut cookies. Although I kind of initially thought they looked like avocados. And especially then when she had the two halves hollowed out and was putting it actually looked like she was making guac.
Well, what I like too is that those could also double as testicle molds. Like, if she was going to go something in the vein, excuse the imagery of Colin's, realistic heart later on, she could make just little testicle.
So what you wanted was a full biology bake.
Yeah.
Everybody makes a different part of the body and assembles it.
Yep, including testicles.
Yeah. Was it Jasmine who was into the gruesome bakes at the beginning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Criminology. She had
Nice.
she was the one who made her bakes so they bled.
See, if CBC were going to do a trick right, what they do is they do a mashup where they fake a murder in the shed or the pavilion. And then, crime solving Jasmine comes along. She's like the forensic tech, and then you'd have
Murder She Baked.
no, hear me out.
Sorry.
We're doing it. Murder She Baked.
No, what was the rest of it though? Because the rest of it was cool.
I thought it could be centered around like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine theme where Chris is like your Captain Holt.
Yes.
And Liam is your Jake Peralta.
That is perfect.
Yeah, we've got Jodie there as Amy Santiago.
Yeah, Jodie definitely can be Amy Santiago. Kyla can be Rosa.
Yes.
Yes.
She needs to unsweeten herself a little bit.
I'd kind of Colin.
Yes.
Boyle.
Yes, that'd be great.
Colin gets to be Boyle. Oh, that'd be so cool. That'd be great. And Bruno would do well as Terry.
Yeah, he could make his pecs dance and everything. Being the Cagney and Lacey.
This would be cool. Canadian 9-9.
Yeah. 9-9.
9-9.
Yeah.
That took a strange turn.
So Jasmine's cookie batter.
Yes.
Jasmine's cookie batter was ridiculously thick. As she said,
I've been called that. Anyway.
As she
That's
said,
what she said.
it was very poop-like. That was her words.
It did look like poop that you'd need to have a bit of Metamucil with, though.
It looked like she
prunes.
needed. It looked like a doctor was required.
Just a bit of softener there.
The wine and
Lots
roses, and she had wine and roses cookies, and the filling was blackberry port jam.
Sounds delicious.
That did sound quite nice. I'm not going to lie. Chris was using.
They came up really nice. They looked great at the end.
They looked spectacular. Like I think that Jasmine's quality has been probably the most consistent for a while now.
Yeah.
She's just very consistent with what she does.
But that said, Jodie's execution tonight for the biscuits was amazing. They look so symmetrical.
So
down for it.
Chris was using, now what's the term, Robert? Because I just wrote down cookie stencil.
Chablais, was that it? No.
Yes.
Bingo. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just wrote down
Shablay.
I just wrote down cookie
That
stencil.
is wrong. You
Yeah.
What?
Not until the ad read.
Oh, bad.
Under the stairs.
Yeah.
So
He made a duck whiz with a Chablis.
a duck whiz and a Chablis, yeah.
I will get you, Robert.
What quality did you make that duck whiz to, Chablis? Anyway.
And yet it looked incredible.
Yeah, his chocolate dacqua looked like what a concept with the ice cream bar thing.
Yeah, and they came out so perfect, and they were even holding. I was worried that it wouldn't hold to the stick.
They held perfectly. Yep. I was really
and
impressed by
and
that.
Bruno were able to eat it.
Yes.
A popsicle, I believe they called it in North America.
They did. So
a paddle pop for us people.
I think what I'm more impressed about is the ability to balance flavors on that, because a duck it's basically just a meringue with a heap of crap through it.
Yep.
Well, usually like a, well, you know what I mean. It's a meringue
Technical
with
terms, that's why we have him here.
Is it powdered
Yeah,
crap or is it fresh crap? That
Always
you gotta
fresh,
add?
always fresh.
It's usually some sort of a nut meal. So,
There
Yeah.
we go.
but
Moving on, because I've gone to the gutter.
oh dear. But yeah, they're usually way too sweet. So to be able to balance that is pretty impressive. So yeah, anyway, it's good.
Ah, dear. So Liam was trying to weigh his cookies because he was worried about the fact that they weren't traditionally the same. So we decided to weigh them, but he looked rather dubious at this. And it turned out, especially when he got to the second batch because he miscounted the first batch, that he was right to feel a bit dubious.
You could tell there was a definite difference between the first and the second batch of cookies.
Yep. What he needed to do at the beginning there was either just roll a log of cookie,
Yeah.
cut it in half, and then cut that into 12 each.
12, yeah.
Oh.
And you'd be fine. Or just weigh it, then divide that by 24 and do each one like that. And that would have been fine. But I think just the stress of the shed gets to people, and like normal thought and decision-making processes go out the window.
Well, we saw that last night though in Australian as well. When they had to do they had to have a certain, was it 12? They had to have of the what's on the plate. And when they were cutting, it was 12 or 18. It was one or the other. And when they all lost count, like everybody lost count, and nobody was getting the right number.
No, it was they needed to present
24. That's right, 24.
Because people were almost there. 22.
Yeah, 22, 21. It was 24 they needed to produce, and they were cutting everything, and like 3/4 of the bakers didn't get the right number on the plate.
That one's harder because you've got to cut that off a log.
Yeah.
In order, you can't you've got to slice that. You can't really just.
Arlette, Mr. Arlette.
Hey, Arlette.
Oh, God.
Get off the dang roof.
Hey, Arlette, get off the dang roof.
I found you.
That's one.
So, but I did like Liam's concept of his homey peanut butter cookies, though. They sounded really cool.
They sounded really good, and Kyla said that there was too much peanut butter. I reckon she's lying because there is no such thing as too much peanut butter.
And unfortunately, Liam's rolling with his homie peanut butter just didn't quite work.
Nice work.
You're welcome.
Also, he had a chocolate butt.
Was it chocolate, or was he just pooping himself?
I'm assuming.
Yeah. I felt really bad for him though when my big cookies have children cookies.
That was really, I love the way I did like the way I said he tried to explain to Carolyn that the cookies had babies. Chris once again just needed to feature another bake. I think Chris is in the pocket of Big Butter. Because he was just everything that
in the butter industry.
Everything that he made tonight was just more butter. Just more. I mean, he's got Bruno in there too, and that usually leads to more butter.
Is he a big fan of Maggie Beer?
Possibly.
Or is he a spy for evil Maggie?
He might be working at Stately Beer Manor on the side. Someone
tending the butter vault.
Someone has to control. Someone has to control the butter hoard.
There's Chris. As Maggie swoops in with her latest, golden deposit.
Yes, he goes, have you got the stuff? Have you got the stuff? It's good quality. He's smuggling butter through customs for her. The only way he gets it back through. So Jody made churro cookies. We love churros. So
churros is win.
Churro cookies with dark chocolate ganache and included ancho and cayenne chili in there.
Yeah.
I saw a great thing today on the internet.
Ooh.
There was a picture that says free mini pumpkins. Please take one. And they were little habanero chilies.
Yeah.
Orange.
That's evil and yet brilliant.
I think the use of the ancho is really clever there, and I like her inspiration of that. And just to be able to put that all together and like do it as a biscuit, but still have it like churro inspired, super clever.
But the other correlation that we had too between this and Australian was that we also learnt that Kyla, much like Maggie, struggles with chili.
And thankfully, they got the balance correct tonight. Like Jody just got the heat bringing the flavour through rather than it being a one to, I don't know, blow Kyla's head off.
Just to confirm to people, by the way, who might be listening to the podcast.
It's not our secret sound competition.
No one is going to the bathroom. That is just Robert pouring out a Coke. And
no. That's not Robert going to the bathroom.
Now he's going to the bathroom.
He's just taking a slash.
And two things. One, can I point out that the can that he was drinking from said "Share a Coke with Mum." And secondly, and this is the most visual podcast on air. And secondly, and far more importantly, can I just point out that he's drinking from a washing up mug at this point in time? So merchandise people, get out there, buy some.
You too can take a slash and mug and drink from it.
The horror. Yeah, I think what's more disturbing is I usually have several drinks on the go at any given time. So I've just had a beer, I've had a coffee in my giant T-Rex mug, which is the size of my head. I've got my Coke, I've got my washing up podcast mug. This because, not a super fan or anything.
Hydration is key.
Oh, yeah. I am so hydrated. But anyway. Yeah.
I'm so hydrated. So Colin. So Colin was making chocolate pomegranate cookies with the pomegranate buttercream.
In heart shapes.
And they were talking a lot about bitterness. And they said that the problem with the pomegranate was there was the chance for it to get really bitter.
Now, something I've discovered, just speaking on the heart shapes, because when he was talking to the judges, he was like, oh, it could also be a sign that I'm single and such. So I've had a bit of a chat with Colin and put forward the idea of a mashup show that's baking and The Bachelor called The Bake-chiller. And turns out it's already being put forward in the pavilion. By the other contestants, not the producers.
I was going to say the producers are like, no, we need to do this.
How good would that be? Andrea can make bread roses that he gives out to people. Jasmine can do like Angie did on The Bachelorette Australia last night and take them out for the what's it called, the bridal shower, just for fun.
And then you've got all those anatomically correct bakes.
Yes.
Oh my God, they could have made penis whistles out of chocolate.
Oh my God, Natalia's testicles could have been served.
Oh, walnuts are amazing, but they are very unfortunate to look at.
I like when everyone calls them little brains, and I'm like, no, they're not quite little brains.
Did you know avocados were banned from being grown at monasteries? Because literally in South America,
turn the monks on?
They were called the testicle tree. So the monks were not allowed to grow avocados.
That sounds like an early Enid Blyton draft. The magic faraway testicle tree.
Look, Dick and Fanny climbing a magical testicle tree is, Bessie we can get away with, and the other
Dick and Fanny.
But Dick and Fanny we may need
to. Did Enid Blyton get international? Do they know who Dick and Fanny are?
I think Enid Blyton definitely was in every Commonwealth country.
She has to be in Canada.
Yeah.
I'd hope so, because she's wonderful.
Because I presume when the Queen went around, did her royal tour, every country she stopped off at, she just dumped Enid Blyton books at all the children.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't really care if Enid Blyton got international because she's wonderful. I care for that joke. That's literally the only reason I care about that. Anyway,
dear children, welcome to my Commonwealth and have some Enid Blyton.
Oh God, she's back
you
again.
There, have some famous five.
Why can I not kick the Queen out of the podcast studio?
Joe is low-key lesbo.
Why can I not keep the Queen out of the podcast studio? Anyway, so we found out also today that Chris and Colin went to the same university and started in the same program at the same time. And as Colin then went, and he's a doctor and I'm in marketing. So
who knew a marketing degree could get you into being a doctor? I'm now imagining Chris a bit like Dr. Nick Riviera.
Chris is actually here selling us diseases.
Have you considered, instead of having, bowel cancer, of having something a bit more marketable, like prostate cancer? Bigger programs out there for that.
There's never been a better time to get sleep apnea. I like the idea of that sales pitch. So
Look, if I diagnose you with one major condition today, I can also give you 3 minor conditions.
But wait,
and
there's still
comorbidities.
more. What I also really
lifestyle disease.
Call in now for your free service of syphilis.
free set of syphilis.
Yeah, that beer is not doing me any favors. So Sisyphus. Suddenly, it's a Greek tragedy. Anyway, moving on.
Every script
It's
today
always a Greek tragedy.
Every script today comes with a free pap smear.
So, at this point, I also like the fact that later on, Colin got to use this medical knowledge that he has in a way that was highly applicable and highly appropriate in making just an anatomically correct heart out of chocolate. Which I'm assuming that's the whole reason he went through the medical program in the first place, was just to make a heart out of chocolate. I was disappointed, though, the box, when we get to that, I was a bit disappointed the box wasn't actually heart-shaped, because it gave me the chance to sing, but, I ruined that forever.
Look, wait till next week where his showstopper is based on Mount Everest. I mean, the lengths he went to get that accurate.
So they finished the bakes. Liam turned around, looked at Colin's, went, "That looks beautiful." And Colin's response was, "Thank you, I'm going to sit down and cry now." And he collapsed on the floor of the pavilion.
How many times did that happen to you, Robert?
More than I care to mention.
It's a long way down for you. I mean...
Yeah.
I
think in one of Maggie Beer's phones, she has a photo of me just splayed out on the floor after a bake, just like, "You guys go on without me. I'll be here if you need me, because I give up." Like, I don't need food. I don't need anything. I just need to be horizontal for the next 20 minutes. Just leave me alone. Just walk around. Thank you. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robert will be returning to normal programming in the next
halfway through. So what we're doing is we're staggered starting this showstopper today, not for any other reason than Robert can't get up. So
no, it's more of the mobile Robert unit you are calling is switched off or not in a mobile Robert unit service area. Please try again later. Yeah.
So the judging. So Jodie's, they said, were precise and very well made. The chocolate was great, and the heat actually wasn't too bad. Kyla's like, no, you get the sensation, not the heat.
Yeah.
Colin's, they said there was lots of love. However, it was lots of little love, that he needed to have more consistency with the filling. So some of them were overfilled and some of them were underfilled. He did say that the pomegranate flavour also was missing out of it. It didn't come through at all. So that's one of the problems we see all the time, and we've seen it with things like lavender, lemon myrtle in Australia more often than not. But like with the pomegranate too, it was a case of you don't want to overdo it, so sometimes you go the opposite direction and totally underdo it instead.
Look, I just waved it over the lavender. Unless you're Dennis last night, who just I went skipping through the lavender fields.
Whole lavender bush in the bake.
Yeah. It's like any of those like vaguely floral, fruity flavors that I couldn't tell you what pomegranate tastes like in a bake, but I know like the actual fruit itself is real punch you in the face kind of flavor, but as soon as you bake it, it's gone. Same as like hibiscus.
Exactly.
As soon as you bake it, it's completely gone. So yeah.
We had pomegranate last night.
It was
pomegranate molasses.
Yes, but that was
syrup. Sorry,
no, it was molasses. You were right the first time.
Yeah.
Natalia. So they said it looked really good. They were the perfect size. She had crunchy texture, but she needed more walnut, and more chocolate. Now, can I just point out it was a chocolate walnut bake with the dulce de leche, and they needed more walnut and more chocolate in a walnut and chocolate.
Bugger.
Interesting. Liam's looked generous.
Until you saw the other ones.
They said it was crunchy moving into chewy, which is an interesting description.
Crunchy moving into chewy inside.
And they said, though, that it needed more chocolate and there was too much peanut butter, as you said before, which I don't necessarily agree with. Jasmine's, they said the colour was really good. It had soft texture, but they did lose some of the chocolate flavour. Chris's, this is where Bruno once again busted out that the idea was whimsical. Jude is still having an impact long after not being there anymore.
Yes, Jude's legacy is going to be timeless, really.
The whimsy.
She's the goddess of whimsy. I've now decided I'm going to make a shrine to Jude.
as you should. They said there was a punch of chocolate flavour that melts in your mouth. But
no, that's just your teeth being knocked out by the chocolate.
But
punch.
this is then when Bruno raised something that I really wanted to raise on the show.
A flag?
No, Bruno compared what
ruckus?
Bruno compared what he was eating to something. The only time I've ever had something like this before was when I had something in Paris, and Chris got really emotional and happy. Why do we shorthand that everything you have in Paris is automatically good? Bruno.
I was going to say that. I'm sure that they have some shit-ass bakeries.
Yeah, I'm
sure
pretty certain there's some shit-house bakeries in Paris. Like, Bruno goes, I've only had something like this once in Paris. And Chris is like, oh, my God, I can't believe you said that. He might have been about to say, that was crap too.
He might have gone to, like,
that's all.
The Woolies bake area.
Yeah, he might have gone to one of their supermarkets. And
sorry, it'd be called Le Woolies.
Le Woolies, yes, thank you. Language, please.
Kristie, it is not called Le Woolies.
But I find it really fascinating that Paris gets the shorthand of automatically good.
Shut up, Pierre. Sorry, shut up, Pierre.
He's still in the underground understairs cupboard. It's all good.
Yeah.
That brings us to the technical. So the instructions from Bruno were stay cool, be chill. It was a bit like Maggie's beatnik poem from last night. They were very similar. If you put the two of them together and read them back to back, they're a companion piece.
I also think he's auditioning for the next Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It'll be the most chilled adventure.
Or, again, maybe they're redoing Happy Days for Canada. And he is going to be the Canadian Fonzie.
Yeah. Le Monday, le Tuesday, Happy Days. Le Wednesday, le Thursday,
Happy Days.
Friday, Happy Days. Here's Bruno on a motorcycle driving into you.
Why is he now driving into you?
Sorry.
Bruno's being on my face, and here we are.
Bruno's running you over on a motorcycle, apparently. Anyway, so now is it a Marquis chocolate? I can't remember what it was called.
It was Marquis au chocolat.
Yeah, chocolat, yeah. So, mousse, ganache, sponge,
What do you call this stuff on top? Sponge cake. But it's going to be on the bottom eventually.
So,
along with a croquant.
A croquant, yes. So
I've been called worse.
Well, I was about to say, I actually wrote that one phonetically, and I did write it the exact same way you would think I wrote that. Anyway, they actually, this was a difficult bake when they got all the instructions. Like, Bruno wasn't stingy on the instructions.
No, gave them timing for how to freeze, what to do.
I did also want to then ask, do we think that Bruno giving all the instructions was the after payout to what happened last week with the creme caramel?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That, like, the creme caramel went the way that creme caramel went. And
the creme caramel was a bit mean because that's one of those ones, either you've made one before or you haven't.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Either you know the recipe or you don't. Like, you
also,
can't really just make a custard because what kind of custard?
Yeah. I thought, we said that last week. It was evil and therefore for television.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because if you're used to, like, I make creme brulee all the time because I've always got eggs left over.
Yeah.
But if you're to use a creme brulee, like, custard and cook that's then got to get completely ice cold before you can do anything with it, or it's liquid.
Ice cold.
It's cooler than cool. Ice cold. But also,
sorry, Robert's just going to the bathroom again.
Also for people.
Yeah, and the cat's yowling in the background as well. This is going to be a
good on you for not flushing the toilet in this drought. If it's mellow, let it mellow.
Oh. Anyway, also for people listening along at home, I frequently talk on the podcast with Kristie about the fact that Robert will be the person when we say, who in their right mind makes this, or who in their right mind does that, goes, me. And as you just heard there when we're talking about creme caramel, he's like, I make creme brulee all the time. It's like his snack. He takes it to snack.
Okay, 600 ml of cream, quarter cup of sugar, 4 egg yolks, mix it up together, pour it into the molds, bake it. That's it.
Rain Man.
Bake for about 40 minutes.
Rain Man.
130 degrees. It's fine. But if you were to use that recipe, if you were to use that recipe for a creme caramel, you're completely screwed. You've got to have like a whole egg in there just to bulk it out so that it'll hold itself up when it's warm. But anyway, but you wouldn't know that unless you've done. It was a bit of a challenge. Anyway, I'm still dirty about
Qantas,
that. So
Qantas never crash. Qantas. Anyway,
Yep.
So like when they said to Natalia about this one, which part is hard? To which she responded with everything. Now I worried because I flashed back. I thought at first he was getting them to make a terrine. And like really 1970s dinner party. Everyone, if you don't follow that 1970s dinner party food Instagram account, go and follow it. I'm fairly certain I've seen that in terrine form on that page. Like it's got like peas in the middle of it set with like duck liver, and it's just
Frankfurt.
It's amazing.
Cut into rosettes.
What a sight. And I worried that it was originally that. Now, they also did say to draw yourself a diagram to keep yourself on track. Which again I found interesting if you've never made one before. That you drew yourself the diagram to keep yourself in the right order. Apparently it worked. Well, for most of them.
Well, we had a discussion about this in terms of testing. And I told you I loved that at school when they like give you instructions to draw something. And I, pretty much hit the nail on the head and get 10 out of 10 for that bullshit. You not so much. Well, you weren't a fan. You weren't a.
Well, there's an activity. There's an activity that we do to teach people how to give instruction properly, which is it's a
you drop them in the middle of the bush and go walk that way.
Work it out. But no, there's one where
I have no sense of direction. I'd be dead.
Yeah, you would be. That's true. I direct him around his hometown.
But I can say that really came in handy when we were in Perth because we got to see a lot of that city. Thank you.
Sure, most of those visits were unintentional, but it's fine.
And the good news was I got to direct everybody home because I know where I'm going for some random reason. But we do an activity where I get people to put the pen on the page, and then we give just a set of instructions, but we don't give you the pre-instruction of what you're drawing. So it's just draw a line that's this long. Now draw a line parallel to that goes for this long. Now draw a diagonal line this long. And it's this set of instructions. And then only later on do we give you the instruction as to what it was supposed to look like. Then we do it a second time. It's a really cool activity. And I kind of feel like this was a little bit like that. Draw a diagram to keep yourself going. Don't know what it looks like, but draw a diagram to keep yourself going.
However, they did have the shape of the tin.
Yeah.
And then they were told what the layers were. So you're able to, flesh out or cake out the layers.
Now, this had a really good description, this process.
Mm-hmm.
Liam gave us a wonderful description of this.
We got to learn to speak some fawn.
So let's speak fawn together. Yes. So what we learnt was, I think it's one of those things where you layer, then go whoop-de-whoop.
And you flip it over. Well, we call it flip it over, but
he calls it whoop-de-whoop.
Fawn. It's
in fawn, flip it over is whoop-de-whoop.
Yes.
And that was really cool. And then Liam put the sponge into the oven and looked down the barrel of the camera and went, this will hopefully turn into a cake. And
so he's just used to dealing with magic, not gadgets.
Yeah, so he's not really, I don't think he understands how an oven works, and he thinks it's like just a magic cake making machine.
Because when he got permission from Dionysus to leave like the great Maynard party going on, Dionysus says, Liam, you can go forth into the human realm, but you're not to use your magic. And Liam's like, but how am I to bake? And Dionysus said, all will be revealed in the pavilion. And it was. He learned how to use ovens and speak human. It was wonderful.
So we also then got Colin and Carolyn together about the timer.
I love how you ignore it when I go into my...
Because it's going to come up again later, because there's more fawn coming up.
Yes, there is.
We're not finished the story.
No.
Enid Blyton hasn't finished yet.
We still have more fawning over Liam to come.
Oh, we do.
Yes.
But Colin and Carolyn had their little timer issue where Carolyn went over to see Colin at his bench and he dropped the timer and he's like, I should probably set the timer to start the cake. That would make sense.
And poor Carolyn was like, because he's gone, oh, and Carolyn's like thinking, oh my God, there's a massive disaster because she's really there for the contestant. She's invested in this. And Colin's just like, oh, just need to set a timer. And Carolyn's still devastated in the background.
Yeah, Colin's like, I'm fine, I've set the timer. And Carolyn's still upset, like, What's wrong? What's wrong? She's so caring.
In fairness, it's a sponge cake. Like, a timer ain't going to help you no matter what.
No, it's not.
Even if you're all using the same oven, the same recipe, sponge cakes are an utter bitch of a cake to make. And it's just a case of it's cooked when it's cooked, and you just have to know when it's cooked. Because the timer is
like it.
yeah, the timer is more guidelines. It doesn't really help.
I didn't
at
realize
all.
sponge cakes were such divas.
They are.
Like the divas.
The diva of the baking world, the sponge cake.
Put it this way, if you make a sponge cake in your home oven with a timer and it's not a recipe that you've ever made before, you might as well just throw the timer out. It doesn't mean anything. Like, not at all.
This is where we bring Robert in for really good technical advice. Hey, Robert, so give me the technical advice here. Oh, fuck the timer.
Yeah, this is where you do the whole listen to your bakes
Yeah.
before anyone knows.
What a world tour that's going to be too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no one can pronounce the croquant.
Croquant?
No, the croquant.
Croquanty.
Yeah. So, how
Croquant.
dare you? I can still hear you. Yeah,
Shut up,
so
Pierre.
the croquant. So it's croquant. So, but
Croquant.
yeah,
You are both a pair of croquants.
I'm pronouncing an A. There's no U in there. I'm pronouncing an A. Just letting you know. But
For those people in Canada, what you need to do is, okay, so Australia is hilarious, and particularly the Northern Territory, which is like the most redneck. It's basically where they set, what was that evil show with John Jarrett and
Wolf Creek.
Wolf Creek, okay. Anyway, their marketing campaign was "See you in the NT."
Let's
Yes.
just say the Canberra University netball team was asked to change their bids.
Let me guess, it was University of Canberra suddenly.
Yeah, very suddenly.
Yeah. So at this point, it was the chocolate pistachio mix, and you commented, Kristie, that the pistachios in this challenge,
Very green.
they were incredibly green.
Like I've heard.
Oh, those are Jordan pistachios. I know, because they're what fucked me on MasterChef. But anyway,
Explain.
Also how you were fucked on MasterChef. With Elena next to you.
Oh,
it's so usually when you're using pistachios for flavor, you want the roasted ones in the shells. They're a little bit on the duller side, but you can get the Jordan pistachios, which are a little bit softer, and they're usually slivered, and they're this bright, brilliant green, and it's just the way that they're picked and the way that they're processed. But they have no flavor, and they're a bit of a pain in the ass. But if you cook them right, you can put flavor in there. You just got to do a lot to them. And yeah, I wasn't familiar with them and grabbed them instead of my regular ones, and
Whoops.
No flavor.
well, I mean,
You were
Liam.
fucked by nuts. That's terrible.
I mean, Liam grabbed a lot of pistachios because, as we saw, Liam seemed to just be adding full ones, not chopping them up at all.
Just trying to make sure there's texture in there.
Crunch. He
That'd
wanted
be
crunch.
delicious.
Yeah.
Liam likes big nuts. What can we say?
He cannot lie. So, then they got all Missy Elliott, Kristie, didn't they?
Oh, yes, they did. Do. Oh, that's
the wrong one.
Let's get your freak on.
Yeah, they were getting their freak on, ladies and gentlemen.
It's yo, it's me, Missy Elliott's white sister. Have you seen that?
Completely missing Elliott.
Yeah.
Is it work it? Let me work it.
Gonna flip it down,
Flip it and reverse it.
Yeah,
So they had to turn it out, flip it and reverse it, not get their freak on. And so the interesting part was they tried to build up the tension about flipping it out of the tin. Except for Liam's, everyone's held.
Liam's held when he first flipped it.
But the more stressful part of it was pulling the parchment off. So pulling the paper off was more stressful than flipping it over, which was interesting because they tried to build the whole turning it over thing as the drama, but that wasn't the drama. The drama was as they peeled the baking paper away to see if it had held its shape or not and see if it like lifted the layers off. That became drama.
It did. Because you couldn't warm up the paper, I guess, to let it slip off easier.
No.
Give it a nice rub down.
Now,
Some oil on it.
no, Kristie.
Massage it.
No, Kristie.
What?
How did Liam describe the look of his?
Was it Sluicy Susie?
It was Sluicy
Slushy
Slossy.
floofy.
It was
That's
Sluicy
right.
Slossy is the way he described
my
it.
fawn is worse than my French. I'm still learning.
Luckily-
Sluicy Slossy.
Luckily, I speak perfectly fluent fawn. Sluicy Slossy is the way he described it. I described it as looking like a puddle. So obviously that is the translation. Sluicy Slossy. It's a puddle.
I believe it's also used to describe when a nymph or a fawn's had a bit too much of the Dionysian good stuff.
I thought it was when they wanted more. They hold the glass out and go, Sluicy Slossy.
Maybe it's interchangeable. It's like it's one of those
I've
words.
had too much or not enough.
Yeah.
And it's up to the RSA, the Responsible Service of Alcohol, to work it out.
Okay. Dionysus, Responsible Service of Alcohol. There are two words that I just don't think they're an oxymoron, really. Anyway.
Yeah, doesn't quite fit with the whole Bacchanalian
Not
approach
quite
to life.
Okay, so technical judging time. Collins, they said the moose was too low. Really good strength in the ganache, however, but they said that moose was just too soft. Natalia's, they said it had a nice height. Now, I felt horrible. I have to, unfortunately. So, Natalia, I'm sorry. But whenever Natalia said moose, I thought and squirrel needed to follow. And when they said
Rocky.
when they said moose is good, I was waiting for squirrel not so much. But I'm sorry, I watched a lot of Rocky and Bullwinkle growing up, Natalia. Nothing against you
We
at
all
all.
did in Australia. We had no fucking choice in the 80s.
It was on all the time on ABC.
True story.
So the nice height, the mousse was really good, they said, but the pistachio mixture just wasn't quite right for her. Liam, they said it looked like there was a problem with the mousse. That was kind of the understatement of the century by Bruno. But they did say his pistachio mixture was quite good. So obviously loading it with just full pistachios was the way to go. Jodie, they said really good presentation, but there was no aeration in the mousse, and her cake was a bit dry, which was a bit disappointing. Chris, they said basically it was excellent. Mousse was perfect. They just waxed lyrical about his mousse for a bit, and that was it. And Jasmine, they said the cake was really good, but the mousse was gummy, and there was a bit of a gelatin issue going on.
There was a way that Carla approached that was very like CSI. I see that there's been a problem here, and just like sunglasses, yar! You're like, really?
Suddenly the Who strikes up.
I'm like, no, not Jasmine. Don't do that to Jasmine.
Okay.
I mean, it would be appropriate if Jasmine's food was crime scene investigated. That would make sense.
Although, do we need to start the Dragnet theme instead? Like, is it? They're all appropriate at this point.
Now, can I just point out, I'll quickly run through what the judges said. So Liam was 6th, Jodie was 5th, Natalia was 4th, Jasmine was 3rd, Colin was 2nd, and Chris was 1st.
Woo!
And what I really liked about this, which they only covered very briefly, but I was happy they showed it, when they said Liam was 6th, Chris just sort of leant over and just very quickly patted Liam on the shoulder. And it was just really adorable. I thought it was very cute and very awesome.
Absolutely. I just love those two. I love them all in the pavilion. I get a bit sad because, at the beginning as well, Colin's, and it was Liam that's gone, all the people in the shed pavilion maybe it was 10.
We're all squitched up. Yeah, they said 10. They don't say pavilion, unfortunately. They won't go with us on that.
Should have consulted us before you started.
100%.
Yeah.
But Liam did have a really, really healthy way to look at this. As he said, in the end, it's just chocolate. No one died. I still have all my limbs.
Well, you don't know what a disaster is like at a Bacchanalian.
Yeah, well, obviously.
Those maenads can get way out of control.
He's just used to people losing their limbs.
It's usually the unfortunate men that come stumbling in on the maenads.
So let's get to the showstopper, shall we?
Yes.
So the Forrest Gump showstopper.
Which laugh.
A box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, but what you're going to get is 3 varieties, 18 chocolates, 3.5 hours. Jenny?
It worries me that Forrest never saw the little guide, the little template.
I know.
The key.
that does ruin the whole, concept of the movie. But for me, it was always the most common sense part of it, which was, have you checked under the lid, Forrest? It tells you what chocolates are in the box, Forrest.
You know
Yeah, but if you turn the box over to look at what's on the bottom of it, if it's on the bottom, then all your chocolates drop on the floor.
Which is appropriate for life. Which is appropriate for life, really. Life is like a box of chocolates. Just when you think you got shit sorted, the bottom falls out.
You know what?
That would be far more accurate.
But I'm really pissed off about these days is Rose's chocolates. Like, they've changed it up again. There was the initial change.
Oh, they take all the good ones out.
Oh, just missing them. Come on, Cadbury's.
Yeah, there was some, again.
Up your game.
The boxes of chocolate.
Not enough chocolate hazelnut.
Okay, so I'm gonna put out a complaint again. Now, obviously, this is more for our Australian listeners. Canadian listeners, please tell us what boxes of chocolates are like over there. But unfortunately, in Australia, we've seen a bit of this trend where the boxes of chocolates that used to be like quite fancy and things along those lines, we've now gone to things like celebrations, which are just miniature versions of chocolate bars you'd buy in the shops. Now, I'm sorry. But first of all, Roses, which used to be the premier brand, have now been cheapened. And secondly, and far more importantly as well, Quality Street. I don't think so.
Oh, Disquality Street.
Quality Street was never really that great. It did have a brief heyday where it was acceptable, but nobody wants that much toffee.
No, it was toffee.
Or caramel.
They did have two toffees, one in a round form and one in that long bar.
One thing I can guarantee is a favourite, though, Ferrero Rocher. Like, you give someone that, they appreciate it. Or particularly when it's in like a fancy pyramid box.
Well, they know you care.
Or a heart-shaped box. But I don't like the heart-shaped box because the quantity in the heart-shape, it looks fancy. It's not as many. Just go for the square or the rectangular box.
I don't like the heart-shaped box because I think Nirvana had better albums. Anyway,
you know what one's the most disappointing, though? The Gillian.
Oh, yeah, they look like they should be fancy. So the fancy seashells. Yeah. They look like they should be delicious and wonderful.
And just taste oily. They're just
oil.
Yeah.
They're just a disappointing praline.
Yeah.
What are your chocolate views, Robert?
I just like plain. Well, actually, nothing is better than a Cadbury hazelnut block of chocolate. You can shove everything else. I'm not that fussed, but the Cadbury. Or I really like dark chocolate. So
yeah, I'm a dark chocolate.
Rocher. Yeah, they have. They've got the Rondo.
Oh yes.
You get holy snapping duck shit. They're good, and I can't get them individually.
And they've got they're the ones as well with the dark chocolate sprinkles.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they are so good.
So good.
Can I tell you my favourite time in my life?
Always.
It was like the best of times and the worst of times. I was a girl guide at Adelboden, in our chalet, which was the Girl Guide World Centre in Switzerland, and staying there, lots of international girl guides, and like the Lindt chocolate there was so fucking cheap. They were really stingy on their food, so every day when the gift shop opened, I'd go and buy a heap of like Lindt chocolate to kind of sustain us throughout the day. So when we get hiking, and like I hiked a lot when I was a kid in like going for bushwalks in Australia, but fuck me, those Swiss Alps are something. I've got a lot of respect for the
cookie clock makers that have to walk every day
for the Von Trapp family. Like you really know the Nazis are bad when you're going, you know what, I'm going to climb those fucking mountains because they are a bitch.
I'm climbing every one of those mountains and I'm fording every one of those streams, damn it.
Oh, man.
All right, so the box of chocolates. Liam said that he felt a little bit like a fish out of water, but then he pointed out that fish can survive out of water for a little bit.
Yeah, we've seen that Faith No More.
Mud skipper. Axolotl.
Yeah. Crabs. They're a type of shellfish.
I was about to say, you're really drawing a long bow again there. With the crabs are a type of shellfish.
Yeah.
The word fish is in there. All right. Well, I mean, if
Andrea lasted quite a while. She's a mermaid.
If you believe QI, which I always do, there is no such thing as a fish.
Why not?
It's not as individual species.
Ooh.
As they said, each type of fish is not remotely genetically closely related to each other. Fish as a species, according to a couple of geneticists, don't exist. but they're not a thing.
Then-
They're a category that we give, to which the response from the panel on QI was, how come they get their own section on the menu?
Yes. Why are they
Like,
the fish of the day?
exactly.
Why are they all at market price?
For
So
the same reason the tomatoes and cucumbers are in the vegetable section.
exactly. And again, having a father,
Because it's easier.
And
having a
bananas
father-
are fruit.
having a father who's a
Not a
qualified. Bananas are a berry.
Are they?
They are.
Oh my god!
Yep, bananas are a berry. Berries have their seeds on the inside. And bananas actually technically have seeds, therefore they are a berry. A strawberry is not a berry because its seeds are on the outside. Anyway, moving on. I have a father who's a horticulturist. You can't tell. So, moving on. Natalia had the tropical themed box of chocolates. There was lime thyme cream. I swear she did that just for the rhyming.
Welcome to Lime Time
Lime
with your
Time.
host, Natalia. What have you got
That's-
on the menu today, Natalia?
That's what happens. That's what happens at
What's in your box, Natalia?
That's what happens at 5 p.m. every Friday afternoon. It's lime time as they make a margarita. There was also the mango passion fruit caramels. They were really nice. And the third chocolate that she made, I can't remember what it was. I missed them in the notes. But they were the ones the judges thought were fucking amazing.
You were
So-
typing furiously. Hold on.
I
let me
was
come
typing
back.
furiously. We'll come back up to it later.
Um,
Anyway,
Nope, that's out of my memory.
Jasmine. Let's focus on Jasmine. Because Jasmine made a bee theme.
It was so pretty. Normally when people slap gold luster dust on chocolate, they're trying to hide some shit.
Yeah.
Or it makes it look really cheap, really fast. You're
I
like,
always worry about- I always
that is
worry
really
about-
amateur.
I always
But
worry about
hers
people that
looked
love
awesome.
gold layering.
Yeah.
But
Hers
you're
worked
right.
so well.
You're right, Robert. So we've got a bit of a delay. All right, you go.
Yeah. Usually gold or metallics and gold stuff, when you put it on a bake, it just makes things look like shit. It's almost like the clip art of baking. So here's an incredible presentation, here's some clip art, and now it's shit. So, but if it's used well and appropriately, like Jasmine's was, it's freaking awesome. And she did such a good job.
It did.
Very happy.
Does Clippy come out to fix your chocolates?
I see you want
I see you're trying to make honey chocolate.
to.
I mean, the hibiscus cream was a really cool idea. The honey caramel was a really cool, and then the milk chocolate with the popping candy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I like that concept of the stinging the mouth, which was really interesting.
It's a good lateral step. I like it.
Yeah, and I thought it was cute because everyone's reaction is you can see the child come out in them, like in you, in Bruno and Kyla and everyone who's having things popping off in their mouth.
Yeah.
Anyway, Liam.
With his leaves.
So Liam opened up by talking about making the black licorice, and his comment was, "I don't want to jinx it, but it's easy."
Well, everything's easy when you're a magical fawn. See, I
Yeah.
remember what happened. He started to use some magic, and Dionysus is going, "No, now you must come home, Liam. I'm going to curse your bakes."
Yeah, Liam had a really good idea. He just needed to drop the marzipan from most of them. And I freaking love marzipan, but there's a couple of them going, no, that didn't need to be there. No, please no with the marzipan. Why are you ruining marzipan? But anyway.
Liam's use of marzipan, I think the whole of his use of marzipan was basically used by Dan in Australian Bakeoff last week with his in Cake Week with the marzipan out to lay up.
with the recreation of the Berlin Wall in marzipan. So Liam, though, he went with pistachio, he had the lime caramel, and he had the salted black licorice. They were his three different flavors. The lime caramel did contain marzipan, which, as Kyla said later on, why? It shouldn't have.
She was very much from the Robert School of Thought.
Yes. So Jody went with Hawaiian Dreams.
Again, I've got no leg to stand on. You saw that absolute abomination of a pavlova I did.
Yeah, we
It
did.
happens. You get in your head about putting things together and you're like, no, this is too simple. I've got to add something else. So you just keep adding shit to whatever you're baking until you end up with a monstrosity that bears no resemblance to what you had in your mind originally.
Or you go, you know what, this crepe cake is far too easy. I know what I'm going to do. One pan. So I'm never letting you forget that, just
I
saying.
never know why you come back to this podcast, Robert. It's like, oh, here they go. You're like a New Zealander
loves
where
it.
Australians pull out sheep jokes. Like, oh, here we go again.
To be honest with you, he would be disappointed if I didn't bring it up.
True story. But it's just one of those things. When you're in the shed or when you're on any of those cooking shows, they've got portable benches and they've got these tiny, tiny little gas cylinders under them. You've got the best cooking equipment there is, but no gas pressure behind it because you're cooking on basically a Bunsen burner like worth of gas. And what you do at home with one pan takes you 3 times as long with a regular one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what we did
with
when we
theirs.
were at Girl Guides, we cooked pancakes on a Milo tin.
Would have been better.
You take the lid off the bottom and you punch some holes around the side and then you put a candle underneath, then you can cook it on the top.
That's genius.
It is.
It is.
Very effective.
Good news is if we're ever stranded with just a candle, batter, and a Milo tin,
Look,
set.
zombie apocalypse will be well fed.
As long as we've got Milo. Anyway, so Jodie made the Hawaiian Dreams, which was coconut, macadamia, pineapple. They were the 3 flavors. She kept them simple and did the pineapple in little pineapple molds.
I thought that was cute.
That was very cute.
But they didn't look like easy molds to use. Like everyone else has got like square molds with the shapes and stuff in them. And she's got a pineapple shaped pineapple mold, which I thought was gorgeous.
But not impractical.
But impractical.
Yeah, weirdly, the flexible molds are a lot harder to work with when you're making chocolate. When you're making chocolate, you kind of want the highly polished, solid ones.
Yeah. And
that's what you saw with Colin when he turns them out, and they all just go pop, 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 pop.
Yep.
Like they just slide out, and he's like, "Holy crap, it worked!" But,
well, the flexible ones would give, wouldn't they?
They do a bit, and the technique that she used was actually perfectly fine, but it's just a little bit harder to kind of I don't know, like it's a
we need a
tempering chocolate is a bitch. Like it just is. You've got to try and hold it at temper so that you can work with it, but then it starts to set up really, really fast, and she just got screwed over by it setting up too fast on her.
It's just her fucking awesome skills at tempering without a thermometer, though.
Yeah,
well, pretty awesome.
Yeah, but we're going to
actually. That is the only thing that was good about Zumbo's Just Desserts. The lady who won it, I listened to a podcast she did, and she was talking about one of the skills she picked up was from Zumbo. Talking about tempering, he's like, no, don't fart around with a thermometer. Grab your chocolate, take out 1/4 of it, heat up 3/4 till it's like hot to the touch. Like Jodie said, it should just sting when you're touching it.
Mm-hmm.
Then whack your last 1/4 of the chocolate back in, and you just mix it until that's all melted through. Don't heat it anymore. Just use that to mix it through, and it all tempers.
Wow.
So,
see, this is the reason why we bring Robert back on. It's the level of advice that you get. This is why he's here, and the lols, but mostly the advice.
the lols.
No smut though. That's my job.
No, that's your job. So Chris went with pandan inside his one as he went with his taste of Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
So he went with chendol,
yum,
mango lassi, and lychee caramel.
I'm down for Chris's box.
I'll just let that sit for a minute.
Look, Chris's box looks very, very tasty.
Chris just went red.
No. Chris just looked at the clock and went, "How long have I got?" Mango lassi, though, I was there for the mango lassi. I would have.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was the one I was. Oh, that sounded really good. I'll do that. Colin's setup was insanely cool.
Yeah.
So the wine for the funeral roses, although that didn't work flavor wise.
I've never seen a wine and chocolate pairing that actually really works when the wine is on the inside of the chocolate. Like that kind of red wine is a little bit too winey, and the chocolate, like they're good separate. They don't quite work at the same time.
You know what you need?
What
you need is spirits. Right.
Yeah.
Which would have made sense.
In little foil bottles.
No, you're not wrong. You're completely correct.
I know. In little foil bottles, and just Anton Berg. Just get some Anton Bergs out. Simple.
You know what my mum's chocolate of choice will grow up? You're talking about the fancy chocolate?
Yeah.
Box of chocolate liqueurs, cherry liqueurs.
Oh.
She was a big fan of those.
So we like the Anton Bergs because we used to like to bite the top off the bottle and drink it like it was actual booze. I still do. Like you saw at Christmas, I got from my parents, I got one of the presents I got was a jumbo fold-out box thing of Anton Bergs.
Oh, that's
where it was literally, I'm just biting the tops off them and like sculling them like mini shots. It was great. So
one of the cake shops near me has I forget what it's called. It's a little eyedropper of liquid. You make up fondant and you flavor it with alcohol or whatever you want, and you pop that in chocolate, or you just dip it in chocolate. But before you do that, you roll some of this liquid through the fondant. Do your chocolates, and then overnight it turns the fondant into liquid, so you get liquid centers. And I'm like, I got to get me some of that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's pretty
and it's
cool.
really cheap. I forget what it's called though. But anyway,
remember that, please. So
Yeah.
black sesame caramel, red wine roses, and spicy hazelnut, all with the anatomical heart. At which point he did give us the line of the night when he said, well, I have, so for the middle of the spicy hazelnut, I have nuts for brains.
And this is why we need to get him to the bake chiller.
100%. He'll be great on the bake chiller.
We need to find Colin someone he can love so they can stop thinking with his nuts.
And I loved where Colin went, when they started the tempering stuff, Colin turned around and went, bam, tempered. What have I become?
Yep.
And then Chris also had some really good advice for anyone thinking of going on any version of Bakeoff, where he simply said, I'm painting my molds because that's what showstoppers do. So Liam did explain his marzipan choice, by the way. I forgot that because he turned around and he said, I'm putting marzipan in each of them because marzipan is almonds and that comes from trees. And it was like, again, very woodland fawn. Now Jodie's unfortunately firmed up too fast in the mold the first time, so she had to throw an entire mold's worth out.
Jodie's just got the magic touch and makes things hard quickly.
Liam started doing fast maths at this point in time because he was trying to do his counting. He's like, I think I got that right, maybe. Maths, yay.
It sucks, Liam.
So they finished that bake, and Jodie turned around and grabbed one of Jasmine's popping candy, and Jasmine goes, "That's the popping candy." And the look on Jodie's face, she's like had one bite, and there was this big grin that came across her face. She's gone, "They pop!"
Yeah.
So now, before we get to the judging, there's something we have to do.
Is this my time?
Oh, yeah, go on, Pierre.
Okay, everyone. So, I am your French friend here, and my name is Pierre. I live under the stairs at Chris and Kristie's house. They are wonderful flatmates. I am barely here, but here I am here today. They've asked me to do this. Okay, well, what are we looking at? Ah, yes, the Australian Sugarcraft magazine. I guess it's okay. What is it, $19.90 for 2 full-color editions? It's a digital magazine. Subscription is annual. You get 2 issues per year. What does this say here? lefacebook.com/Australian Sugarcraft. Oh, it's Australian Facebook, so there's no le. It's only in France, it's Le Facebook. Yes, it is a quality magazine focused on cake decorating and sugar art. How do you say in Australian? It's a bloody good, mate.
That's it. Well done, Pierre. Look,
Au
you've
revoir.
learned so much.
Yes.
See you later, mate.
Ciao.
Bye.
And suddenly Italiano.
This is why you always make sure that you save your money so you don't have to take in boarders living under the staircase.
We're addicted to Australian Sugarcraft.
We are, and that's the point. Like we've got like
multiple subscriptions.
I think at last
many platforms.
I think at last count it was 57 subscriptions, and that's why Pierre lives under the stairs. So he has to live under the stairs. There's no option in this.
If we were just not so fanatical, if we just limited ourselves, I mean, it's a fantastic deal. I don't know why we're so we're just so happy with it that we go overboard, but you don't have to go overboard. It's just good value.
Fine.
Just one's enough, and then you don't have crazy borders like Pierre.
All right.
I heard that. I think I'm going to leave this joint. You are all crazy. I'm out of here.
Don't go away yet, Pierre. I need some dinner. Okay, so
Au revoir, Pierre.
so Jasmine. So the first word they said was wow. The bee detail was really good. They said it cut easily. The hibiscus flavor was actually quite good as well.
Oh.
They said they needed more honey in the caramel, however, but the popping candy was awesome. And this is where we got our French-Canadian Fonzie. Yeah.
You know who'd really like Jasmine's box? Billy Piper.
Honey to the bee. That's you for Jasmine. Anyway,
Jasmine.
so Liam, they said the filling was really good. The lime caramel, however, didn't need the marzipan, and they needed more licorice in the one that was just pure marzipan, it turns out. So, Jodie, they said the detail was awesome. The temper was really good on her chocolate. The flavour was good in all of them. But in all three, she was a bit stingy on the filling. And they said they were filled chocolates and you need to actually have the filling.
But
Natalia,
they looked really cool.
They looked amazing. They looked so good. Natalia, the colour was really good. The time, they said, took away from the lime flavour. The handmade ones were nice, but they said they were far too rustic in terms of the way she prepared them. The hand dipping. They look
dipping
like
anything in. Yeah, they did. I thought they were awesome, but that's just because we got the Australian kind of cobbers or Fantails. Yeah, reference. And
Fantails.
Oh god, they are so good. Yeah,
I'm really annoyed at the moment because every Fantail I get, it has fucking Rebel Wilson's thing on there. Oh.
So to Canadians,
Do you know she was born on February 7th?
I do. So Canadians, the Fantail, and we do actually have a Canadian friend of ours who knows all about Fantails because we might have sent her some. Hey, Megan.
She's famous now.
She's famous. She does amazing ads for Robin Hood. We sent her some Fantails. So yeah, they're caramel with the chocolate dip over the top of them. Now the fancy ones that are wrapped are Fantails. Mm-hmm. The ones that are not wrapped and sold for individual sale are cobbers. I like the cobber more than the Fantail. The cobber is a little bit tougher.
Agree. You're more likely to lose a filling on a cobber than you are a Fantail.
My mum literally lost a filling on a minty, not quite a cobber, but still the same.
Yeah.
But mint caramel. So what I think is also beneficial about cobbers is you don't have to read about Rebel Wilson.
This is true, but I think Australians, just for the Canadians, the little wrapped ones, they've got stories of various famous people. They're supposed to be a movie-going snack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Australians just like random shite on their products. For example, this generic brand beer that I'm drinking.
Yeah.
Under the bottle cap, it has a party pies just for parties. Discuss.
Discussion point.
Oh, God.
See, what I think is the most weirdest one giving you facts is, and you guys might not have seen this, but on Libra pads, so I'm looking sanitary.
Funnily enough, Kristie, no, I've not seen that.
No. So on sanitary products, they called it the odd spot, and on this strip of paper that you peel off to reveal the sticky lining, it would have all these facts. So while you're on the toilet having a period, apparently you can also learn.
See, what I really appreciate, by the way, about the only thing I like about the Fantail going with Rebel Wilson all the time is it used to be Errol Flynn.
Oh my God.
Every single rapper had
Gibson.
all the
always Mel Gibson. Nobody freaking cares. Please stop with the Mel Gibson. He is no longer cool. He was cancelled. No more Mel Gibson in the Fantails.
Did you know that Mel Gibson starred in Lethal Weapon 1, 2, 3, 4 and racist videos everywhere? Anyway, so
anti-Semitic.
So, Colin, they loved the presentation that Colin put forward. They said that the black sesame had great flavour, but it was a really hard chew. They both said the red wine cream didn't work. They said it just the balance never works. And they said the hazelnut was nice, but there was a lot of heat in that one. He's like, there was a little bit of heat. And you can just see them both, and he goes, a lot of heat? There's too much heat. There's too much heat, isn't there?
Get out the kitchen. Don't bring Betty Boo.
And then...
Betty Boo, just doing it. Sorry.
And then we get to Chris. And Chris, they said the mango lassi was nice. It looked really professional as a chocolate. And it did. When they cut through that mango lassi, it looked like a professional chocolate you would have bought.
Yeah, and even though the presentation was a little bit rushed at the end, it was still phenomenal.
Yeah, they said the lychee was subtle, which was really good. And they said the chendol was unusual and therefore they thought really nice. So Star Baker was Chris. And that was, I sort of called that about halfway through the episode.
He was so excited. I loved that.
And unfortunately, Liam has to depart the pavilion. Now, it's a
He's
really
delightful. He's one of these people that you just follow around just to see what happens.
it's a sad moment, but
Yeah.
it was a sad moment tempered by the fact that just Leon is so wonderful. And like his
Oh.
big thing was, I've made all these friends.
Yes,
And
I
they're
do.
really cool. And it's like, oh, but
You can't
I mean,
feel too sad for him. He is just returning to a bacchanalia in the forest.
yeah,
so-
he is. So he's going back for a wonderful celebration with Dionysus. But it'll be sad to see him go. I mean, from a podcaster's perspective, it opens up opportunities. I'm not going to say too much more than that. Wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge.
But yeah, that will be hopefully in the near future. We'll talk to people about that soon. Speaking of that, though, in the next couple of days, we will be having Jay on the podcast. So that will be
Excited chirping noises from here
that-
also.
That will be such a fun conversation to have. We're really looking forward to that. So Jay will hopefully be in the next couple of days. It's very hard to work out. When we have, just to sort of peek behind the curtain a little bit, when we have bakers on from Australia, that's fairly easy to coordinate because, same time zones. When you're coordinating bakers in Canada, not as easy.
No.
So that's the reason for the delay. We were traveling the other day. Jay was traveling. It was just hard to organise it. But
Passing in
we
the
think
night.
we managed to nail down
Two
the time
different
difference
hemispheres.
now. And hopefully in the next couple of days we'll have Jay on. That will be fantastic. And then who knows? Maybe a woodland sort of fawn.
Well, if I set up a ritual properly and, put out the right offerings, Dionysus may allow one of his fawns to come and visit us through the ether.
I think, look, and again, you are the person for that job. That is, you are good at that. You can do that quite well.
I know to praise Dionysus, you've got to go Sponday and then drink your wine. And at a Dionysia, which is one of the festivals, not that I've been to one, actually I have, and what you're supposed to do is just drink wine every time someone says Sponday, and if you don't, it's bad luck. So you've just got to keep drinking wine.
Well, luckily I have over a dozen reds in the room right now.
Excellent.
And can quite
Ooh,
easily...
I can see them. Yeah.
and can quite easily just start... Yeah, you can actually. And can quite easily just start drinking them at a moment's notice. So
Excellent.
with that in mind, thank you very much, as always, Robert. It has been a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for letting me eat chocolate and drink beer and talk crap with you. It's been a delight, as always. Love you guys.
Love you too. Is there anything you want to spruik?
No, not so much. If you want some recipes, check out robertscakesandcooking.com or go to facebook.com/robertscakesandcooking.
And
Say hello.
Make sure you go there. Make sure you say hello. Make sure you check out his not at all awkward videos that he puts out from time to time where he demonstrates things. They're really cool. They're really informative. And as you've heard on the podcast tonight, if you've not heard Robert before, and I'm assuming some people haven't heard Robert before, that sort of insight that you get when we're talking about some of the techniques in particular, right? That sort of insight is really good. And we learn all the time whenever we talk to Robert. So it's really good to have him on for that. Plus the lols. Don't forget the lols. So until next time, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we'll catch you all then.
Whoop.
See ya.